how tough is it out there? Just very generic starting question for you as well. Companies are struggling to work out what the next stage of this COVID crisis is. Where do you think we are, Brian?
Look, I mean, you've heard this many times on this show. It's an unprecedented situation. People are trying to look for proxies of what they've seen before in terms of recoveries. I think people have stopped talking now about W, U, V, all the various different shape curves. I even heard K last week, which was certainly a new one. I think we just need to find out what the new normality looks like, the other side of where we are. But I think businesses across the piece, they're looking for leadership from government, they're looking for direction, they're looking for policies that help them get through these really difficult times, whether they're small companies or large companies.
In terms of the energy industry, I mean, I've probably said this to you. I know I've said it to Bob Dudley previously. I've said it to Bernard Looney as well. Is the fact that we've had false dawns in the energy transition. We saw it and people were retrenched after the dot-com bubble burst. We saw it after the GFC. What is different this time round about the energy transition and recovery and the money being spent on greenifying IOCs and economies more generally as well? Why should we believe that this time is different?
Look, I mean, this has been building now for 2 or 3 years. It started with Paris back in 15. But I think, if anything, what we saw during the I think the last time I spoke to you guys, we were right in the middle of COVID. We didn't quite know then what it was going to look like in terms of how it unfolded. There is no question that as you look at societies around the world, more and more people are asking about how is this going to look in the future. And I think there are multiple pathways in the energy transition, and companies are taking different approaches. And even the segue that you just showed now, just before this piece around Saudi Arabia, there will be multiple pathways to the energy transition. Oil will be a key component in that. So therefore, over the next decade, we're going to have to start to wean ourselves off it. But even if you look at the peak of COVID, we had something like 27, 28 million barrels of oil offline. The world was still consuming 73 to 74 million barrels a day. Oil was still the primary energy source of all the energy sources. So we've got to find a pathway beyond oil. Oil will be part of that, as will gas, as will coal, unfortunately, and we'll need to deal with the carbon dioxide that comes with it. But I think there's no question now from a societal perspective, people are now expecting companies to step into the energy transition. And I think, what you heard earlier this year, certainly from the company I previously worked with and other companies now, the ambition to net zero, I think will gather more and more momentum across a multitude of companies.
Brian, what's clear, and very good morning, by the way, is that markets are running well ahead of where the technology is at the moment. If I look at an ETF of clean energy stocks, we're up anywhere between 60 to 80% so far this year. You contrast that with the performance of the oil majors and it's stark. But the reality is, as we saw from Tesla, which shed $50 billion in value yesterday, Elon Musk is not telling us that the million-mile battery is here today. He's saying that they can cut the price and maybe this is 3 years away. So have markets got ahead of themselves in terms of believing that this nirvana of cheap, clean energy is going to be just around the corner?
Yeah, look, I mean, this pathway is going to take decades. It's not going to happen overnight, but you have to step into some of these new technologies. And I think what you're seeing with the valuations of a number of stocks, Tesla included, is there is a limited number of companies you can invest that sort of ESG money in. And there is a big chunk of ESG money out there that wants to invest in what the new technologies look like. And hydrogen is a great example. You will see, I'm sure, a multitude of investments around hydrogen as people start to wake up to hydrogen as an energy pathway. But it's probably at least 2 decades away yet in terms of being fully commercial and being able to remunerate in the way a traditional business model would look like. So that's why I think it's going to be a mix of traditional energy and new energies. And I think the winners in this space will be the ones that can integrate those two offers and look for combined offers going forward. But there's no question the market, there is a lot of money. It wants to get into these new energies, but it's going to take time for those energies to remunerate themselves. Things like solar, wind, they're all pretty well established now. It will be the next phase of technology, whether that be in batteries, whether it be in hydrogen, or spin-offs to tangential industries close to that.